You guys can go sit down. Now you guys get to hear me talk. You got to hear Ashley, now you get to hear me. Sorry you had to be a guinea pig on me playing guitar, but I had to start somewhere, right? Alright. I'm sorry, I'm going to I'm going to have some pictures going behind me, and they're just kind of going to go along with what I say. I might not refer to them, but they're going to be up there. Anyone that knows me, which most people in here do, know that I have a love for Guatemala and the people of Guatemala. So I just want to give a real quick recap of how I got there. Mike and I have wanted to adopt a baby, and it just hasn't happened. And, you know, if God wants it to happen, it will. But in the meantime, I thought, man, I want to go to another country and just love on the babies, you know? And I didn't really know that that was even something people did, because you hear about mission trips where people go build things. And I didn't want to build anything, but I want to love on babies. Well, I mentioned it to a friend of mine, and she's like, well, I think I know somebody. So she mentioned it to a friend of hers, who mentioned it to a friend of hers. And eventually, I got hooked up with this lady named Michelle in Michigan. And she called me, and she takes groups down to Guatemala to Hannah's Hope. It's an orphanage that Ashley mentioned that she works for. And she's like, do you want to go with us in January? This was like 4 or 5 months away. And I'm like, sure. I mean, I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know anything, but I was like, sure, why not? So I did, and a few months later, I was on my way to Guatemala City by myself, meeting up with people I'd never met before in my life. And that's them there. And they were a pretty crazy group. Ashley can attest to that. But we had a lot of good time. We spent a lot of time at Hannah's Hope. We cuddled babies. We did crafts with bigger kids. We did all kinds of things with the kids to have fun. We also went to a couple other orphanages, did some stuff with the kids, just kind of showed them love. Went to a boys' home. It was a lot of fun. A couple other things that we did. I'm going to let this slide, give a second for some slides here. This was a village that we went to that had a mudslide recently, and we just went out to give them some relief. Okay, you can stop there. Another thing we did is went to the city dump, which is what's behind me here. People actually live in the dump. Families actually live there because they can scavenge. They can like get used lotion bottles and fill them up and resell them and stuff like that to make money. That's just how they make money to live. And we also visited the ghetto. I knew we were going to go visit the ghetto. This was just kind of a side trip. But when I got down there, it was like, all of a sudden I was like, well, this is where God wanted me. I didn't come to cuddle babies. I came for the ghetto. And it was just, it's kind of emotional even now because I just saw the people living there, and it was just, it made you realize how lucky you are living here. I realized God was leading me to the ghetto. And the rest of that trip, we did all kinds of things, and we only were in the ghetto for a couple hours, but it kept nagging at me. I was like, I gotta go back, I gotta go back. And even when I got back into the States, I had to go back. There was no doubt I had to go back. So, on a side note, some of y'all that were here earlier met Ashley, and you'll get to see her again in a minute, but she works for Hannah's Hope, and she was our guide for the week. And she and I got talking, and we got along really well, and that's Ashley, the other girl, and then those are a couple of the guys from down there, but we got along really well, and after I got back home, we kept talking. And I said, you know, I got to go back. I want to do something in the ghetto specifically. And one of the needs when I was down there was clothing. I heard him say they needed clothing. So I thought, okay, I work in shipping. I can get good deals. I was going to gather up a bunch of clothes, and I was going to ship it to them. Well, it's like I got some people at work, you know, help me get the discounted price, and it was too much. I couldn't do it. It was just crazy to pay those prices and not actually go back myself. So what I did is I started having people give me clothes, and some people donated a little bit of money, but I didn't really want to ask too much because I had just been 8 months earlier. And so I got a ticket, and in the meantime, talking to Ashley, she's like, well, you can stay with me if you come down here. I'm like, oh, that'd be great. You know, I can stay with her, we can go around, do all the fun things that she gets to do, which to me are fun things, but it's helping people. So we kind of worked it up, and one day Ashley says, do you mind if I move to a more dangerous part of the city? I'm like, no, why? Where are you moving to? She's like, well, I moved into the ghetto. I'm like, well, that's cool. Because what I didn't tell Ashley or anybody was when I was in the ghetto, I was like, I want to stay here for about a week. I want to live down here. I want to see what these people live like. I've never lived like this. I want to live down here for a while and see what it's like. So she didn't even know it, but her movement was like God answering prayer for me. So I actually got to go down there and spend time with the people. To jump forward, I ended up going down there. I took down 5 bags, 50 pounds each. So I took down 250 pounds of clothing. Most of it was to give away. A little bit of it was to wear. So we didn't have any specific plans when I started down there. I just said, Ashley, whatever you think is good, let's do it. Well, she didn't really have any idea until she picked me up at the airport. She's like, I just had a really good idea. She goes, let's go to the grocery store. Let's get a whole bunch of groceries, And looks like I'll invite some of the families that I know really, really need it, and we'll invite them in and we'll cook dinner for them. I'm like, great. She doesn't have a clue that I don't cook. She still doesn't. She does now, but she didn't know. I mean, Mike and I don't cook. We don't have kids. I'm taking Mike this time. But I cooked probably more that week than I've cooked forever. I mean, I just don't cook. And we would have 2 different families in a night and cook for them. So we'd cook a meal, clean up, cook another meal. And we're talking a ghetto home, so you don't have very many dishes, you don't have stuff, so you're washing dishes all the time. So that basically was how the week went. We would invite families in for dinner, we'd give them food, we'd give them clothing, we'd give them Bibles, we'd talk to them. Basically, we're just spreading joy. I mean, that's one of the best things you can do to people is just spread joy. People in a situation, they don't have joy, so you go down there and you just do things for them and love on them and show them some joy. And then whatever you can do to help them out. You can't bring them home with you, so you go down there and do what you can. I had notes so I wouldn't just talk off, but you just keep on going. Oh yeah, one of the things that I noticed when I was down there, the people were like, she's sleeping in the ghetto, she's staying down here at night after dark. And of course I couldn't understand them. Ashley told me what they were saying. And she told them, yeah, and they're like, aren't they afraid? Didn't she hear the gunfire? Didn't that scare her? And Ashley's like, no, I don't think so. Because it didn't bother me. It's like, God's with me and he's going to protect me. I mean, I'm here doing his work and he's going to protect me. So basically we just spent the week, we spent the daytimes visiting people. They even invited me into their homes and fed me, of all things. And I met some people. I got to do some focused ministering with some people that were struggling, actually reading Bible and praying. Got to know the people and I was just truly blessed. We also went back to the city dump and I took a bunch of bread. You can sort of see it there, but took 3 basketfuls of bread down to the dump where the people live, and we handed out bread and just got a chance to talk to some people and help some people out. It's kind of neat to see people and just their reactions because they don't understand, Oh, another one, well, she's probably just staying here a couple of days on her way to a pretty part of Guatemala to vacation, isn't she? No, not really. I just came to visit you guys. So, okay, back to the reason for this concert is I wanted to share that with you and kind of give you an idea of what I like to do in Guatemala. And it costs a lot of money, obviously, and God told us to go, so we're going to pay for it, even if it comes out of our savings. But we thought we'd have this concert, and it's a free concert. If anybody feels led to donate, there's donation boxes around. There's also goodies in the back that people brought for us, and it's all donations. We want everybody to have a good time and eat a lot, because there's a lot back there. If you feel led to donate towards the trip to Guatemala, that's great. If not, enjoy the music. This time, we're going in December. We're leaving December 12th. And I say we because Mike gets to go with me this time. So instead of hearing about Guatemala, he gets to experience Guatemala. And we don't really know what we're doing. It's kind of like last time. We're going to take clothes. We're going to take Bibles. We're going to take whatever we can take. But we don't really know a whole lot about what we're going to do while we're there. It's going to be one of those things like last time. Whatever happens, happens. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is a street dance. Because they like to hang out in the streets. They like music. Let's get them together. Let's have a street dance. Let's feed them. Let's hang out and have a good time. And just show them a good time. One of the things I really want to focus on is the gangsters. And I actually talked a little bit about the gangsters. So talk about them for a few minutes again. But these are guys that don't really have much hope. They get into being gangsters usually pretty innocently. I mean, there's usually a reason why they start being gangsters. It's not just like, oh, I just want to be a gangster and I want to shoot people and I want to take drugs. It's not like that. I mean, there's reasons why they become gangsters. They're poor, maybe they need food, whatever. Ashley's got a story for you about a guy and how it happened, and that's typical, all of them. But they have something in their heart. They have a hole in their heart, basically. And it's a God-shaped hole, is what I like to say. And nothing fills it except God. And they're trying to fill it with drugs. They're trying to fill it with violence. But it's not going to happen. And having people come down, a lot of people go into the ghetto and they're all walking around giving their Bibles and giving their whatevers, and then they leave the ghetto, and the gangsters kind of are the ones they stay away from. But the gangsters that I met down there in her neighborhood, they're not like gangsters like they're going to hurt us. They're out there to protect the neighborhood. So they're not going to hurt us. Matter of fact, they love to come have their pictures taken. I mean, they wanted it. So I want to focus on them a little bit. I want to go down, and it's going to be Christmas time, so we're going to maybe make up little Christmas packages for some of the guys that are gangsters and just kind of, show them a little love that they don't get from people and maybe help fill that little hole. And when they want to know why you're doing it, that's when your opportunity to witness is. So that's kind of what we're doing. That's kind of what this concert's about, and that's my mission.